Hello, and welcome to Nostalgia Marcana. I'm your host, Doug Leaf. Each episode of this podcast, we'll look back on the movies, TV, games, people, and phenomena that we still love talking about all these years later, and ask ourselves why these bits of pop culture still enchant us today. This week, we'll be revisiting... In the words of Otto from The Simpsons, Zeppelin rules! Today we are talking about Led Zeppelin, one of the biggest bands of all time. You don't need me to explain who Led Zeppelin is to you because they are just the godfathers of rock and metal and so much cool stuff. We'll get into everything that makes this band the legends that they are. But to do that, I am not doing it alone. I've got two guests with me today, both of whom have been on prior musical episodes of this show. First, he has been on our most recent Matchbox 20 episode, as well as talking about the Beatles. Welcome back to the podcast, my brother-in-law, Kyle Lieberman.
Howdy, everybody.
And another good friend of mine who was also on that Beatles podcast, as well as Queen and grunge. He is a performing member with comedy troupe Lost Moon Radio and its satellite band, The Moon Units. Welcome back to the show, Dylan Riss.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So, Kyle, I'm going to throw it to you because I think it was your idea to do Led Zeppelin. So I'll start with you asking about your nostalgic memories of this band.
Yeah, for sure. So Led Zeppelin for me started off when I was a kid. It was probably the early 90s, late 80s, and it was probably Stairway to Heaven that made me say, oh, this is an amazing band. To be honest, I didn't get completely into them at the time. I just sort of listened to some of the more popular songs, some of the hits. As I got older, I started to appreciate them more. I had a big kind of come to Jesus moment, I think maybe in 2006, 2007, where I sort of realized, I'm like, oh my God, these guys are like the original. I mean, Beatles aside, Beatles are more of songwriters. Led Zeppelin really knew how to rock. And I just started appreciating them from there on. And recently, within the last year, I've kind of went through all of it and helped me realize it's one of those bands that you might forget after a while, but they come back around and you listen to them and you're like, oh my God, there's so many good songs. And I really appreciate the musicianship between all four of them. So yeah, one of the best bands of all time, no doubt.
Dylan, how about you? Where does Led Zeppelin fit into your background?
I think I first learned about them when I was in elementary school, but it didn't fully click with me. There were some aesthetic elements I didn't like, which maybe we'll talk about when we talk about the songs. But then I think in middle school and certainly high school, I got really deep into them. And I just echo what Kyle said. One thing that I find very rewarding about this band is they have so much good material. It's not just a couple hits. They really have their albums mostly pretty short, usually 8 songs, but those 8 songs, they really made them count. So I found them to be really rewarding to listen to these records from front to back.
Yeah, I got into classic rock. I was always kind of into it because, my parents are boomers and my dad would always be playing this stuff. But I really got, deep into it in high school. My point of entry, I think I've talked about this before, was The Who. That was the band that I was really into. But along with that, you could not avoid hopping over to Led Zeppelin. And I remember having this box set that it was like they were these really super shimmery CDs with these pictures of crop circles on them. I think it was called like Led Zeppelin Remastered. And it was just like their biggest hits. on 2 discs. And I remember having that in a portable Discman that hooked into the tape deck of my 1979 Mazda RX-7 to get Super 70s for this, going way back to a car that was a hatchback and had no power steering. But I remember rocking out to this and like just sitting in the parking lot of my high school playing this and just really like listening deeply to the musicianship going on. Especially Jimmy Page's guitaring, which is in a class by itself. And just, this was like, I couldn't believe that 4 guys could just create this sound, because as we'll kind of get into, that's really what I think makes this band special, is their sound is so unique and it's been imitated, or I guess I should say it's so influential. Like as big as the Beatles were, there weren't a ton of bands that followed that tried to like mimic their style very much, or maybe because their style was all over the place by the end. But in terms of Led Zeppelin, like there are so many bands that came after, contemporary to and later, right? Your Black Sabbaths, your Iron Maidens, like just bands that kept trying to do what Led Zeppelin did. And you can almost picture it like a family tree, like Led Zeppelin at the top and then all this stuff coming off of it. But no one could do it the way they did it. So yeah, I'm real excited to talk about them today. So what we did is, like many of our musical episodes, we brought our top 10 lists. And I'll talk about the selection process in a bit. I did want to mention that we've, at least Kyle and I don't know if you did, Dylan, but we took Stairway to Heaven kind of and put it to the side, just figuring it would sort of skew the results because it is such a famous song. It is so lauded, and we'll certainly talk about why. So I figured we just sort of reserve a little time for Stairway to Heaven at the end, so it doesn't, like I said, distort the lists. With that, though, I'll throw it to you, Kyle, and ask, what criterion did you use to make your list of your favorite Led Zeppelin songs?
Yeah, it was difficult because part of me is like, I want to put down the Led Zeppelin songs that I think are the best songs, right? That's part of it. But the other part of it is like, hey, we're doing our top 10 list here. I'm going to tell you guys all out there listening my favorite Led Zeppelin songs. And I think I said the same thing when we did the Beatles podcast back, a year ago, is that it changes from time to time. So while, Hey Jude might have been my favorite song when I was 18, it's going to be a different song now. So it's kind of the same thing with Led Zeppelin. I will say that Stairway to Heaven is probably my favorite song. So it was kind of fun to remove it from the list and see what else we got. So the number 2 is going to be the number 1. So it'll be kind of fun. But yeah, it wasn't really too much criteria other than just, what are my favorites right now?
Dylan, how about you?
Yeah, for me, it's about my personal favorites, and I would say it was a chance for me to embrace what I love about Led Zeppelin, which is not necessarily the hits. It's sometimes so deeper tracks. I think about when we did the Queen episode, and my preference in those actually does tend to be the hits, and for Led Zeppelin, I don't feel that way necessarily. So.
Well, I'm kind of glad about that because I was worried that our list would be so weighted towards some of these monster hits that are, legendary for a reason. And they're certainly going to show up, I'm sure, here and there between the three of us. But I kind of applied the same philosophy of like, what songs do I really like? What songs do I think are representative, as a sample? If I was going to give to someone, hey, if you want to get an idea of what Led Zeppelin is, here's 10 songs that sort of run the gamut of the different kinds of things they do. But beyond that, yeah, it was mostly just like, how many of these do I just want to crank up to 11 and like have that feeling of like, I'm going to try and dive into my headphones and like just explore the sound space that they create. Like, how much can I try and listen for those little tiny things in the background and like just be enthralled by this music. So, this is much more of like what emotionally resonates with me more so than the intellectual, like, well, which ones really are the best? It's a little bit of both. So, with that, I'll throw it to you, Kyle. What is your number 10 Led Zeppelin song?
All right. Number 10 song, probably going to be a fan favorite out there. Very popular. Lead off track to album number 4, Black Dog.
Hey, mama said the way you move gonna make you sweat, gonna make you groove. Child, way you shake that thing, gonna make you burn, gonna make you stay.
So I chose Black Dog for a few different reasons. Part of it was just it's a good song, right? I mean, the guitar is amazing, the drums are amazing, got great vocals. It's just a great song. Everybody knows it. That's not why it's on my list, but everyone does know it. But the main reason why I picked this song is the musicianship. So I'm a music guy. I can tell you the difference between 4/4, 2/4. Time signatures, right? 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, all that stuff. It makes sense to me. It just works in my brain. The thing about Black Dog is I probably heard the song in, I want to say 1990, so it's been, over 30 years. But I still can't figure out what kind of time signature they're playing after it goes, hey, mama, it said the way you move, gonna make you sweat, gonna make you groove. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I cannot figure out the drums to that part. Eventually I kind of catch up to it. But overall, the fact that it trips my mind every single time makes me want to keep listening to it over and over again. I still couldn't tell you what time signature that's in today. All I can tell you is that Bonham is playing to Page. There you go. Black Dog.
This song is definitely like more theatrical or complex in terms of that, like the way it speeds up and slows down throughout there. Like the dynamics of that, like, they have this, just really just cranking riff through that whole thing, and then all of a sudden it's like they hit the brakes and then all the music mostly drops out for this like while Robert Plant kind of sings this next little verse, and then Jimmy Page plays back at him as it cranks back up again. Like there's something really just cool about that, like because I feel like I know I'm not a songwriter. That's not a talent I have. And I know that, like, even if I were to sit down and try, it would be the most basic 4/4 thing you've ever heard. Like, I don't think I have in my brain, there's not the capacity of like, oh, what if I just slowed everything down? Or like, then it got real loud and then real quiet. Like, I just couldn't do that. And listening to them just kind of master, like, the relationship between them and the audience in this song is really cool.
I love that you picked this song. I love this song. A couple things from me. Number one, it's a great tribute to the very underrated contributions of John Paul Jones, who's the guy who wrote that riff. And he doesn't get enough credit for how much he contributed to Led Zeppelin besides, beyond his bass playing. And we can talk about some of the other things that he did, but he also could write a mean riff, and that's his riff. And it's great. And like, Kyle says, it's a weird one. It has one extra beat in part of the phrasing. So it's like 4/4, and then it has, you could call it 9/8 basically. It's an extra eighth note. And it throws things off. And when I this is funny because I might reference this class again. When I went to music school, they had a class that was kind of like a fun, less academic class. It was called the Jimmy Page Guitar Lab. It was just supposed to be fun, so that you weren't doing like fugues and whatever the whole time. And so we just like learned Led Zeppelin songs. It's kind of funny that was a college class. But anyway, I thought that probably playing Black Dog was the single hardest thing in Led Zeppelin. Just getting that riff in your head without, just getting that extra beat. It's weird. It's a weird riff, but it's great and very iconic.
The interesting thing is that I feel like I could sing that riff to you right now, but I couldn't tell you how the drums go against it. That's the tough part.
Yeah, it's the part where it's like da 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 da. That it's just that B section of the riff is what really gets you lost.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Cool choice. That's a great place to kick it off. Dylan, your number 10.
My number 10, in the spirit of my preview and saying that I like the deep cuts, is the Wanton Song. Which is in the second half of Physical Graffiti. I think overall, Physical Graffiti might be my favorite Led Zeppelin album. It's not perfect. There's definitely some stuff in there that's, I don't know. It maybe doesn't quite merit whatever the 4 LPs or whatever that it was on, or 4 LP sides. But the Wanton Song is buried on the last side of the second record, and it just has an awesome riff, simple, heavy, got a very short and sweet guitar solo that's great. And like so many great Led Zeppelin songs, it almost feels like the riff is doing as much as the lead vocal is, and that was sort of a testament to how many would say it was Jimmy Page's band, that he always got to speak first and Plant had to find his spots. So anyway.
Yeah, that's a good choice off of Physical Graffiti. I particularly think of that song because the drums are kind of mid-tempo, bzz, cha, bzz, but the guitar is just like, the riff is just so, it's so heavy and intricate. It almost sounds like it's a different time signature, but I'm pretty sure it's straightforward. Definitely wouldn't be in my top, but I appreciate that song. I think it's a good choice.
It's a great choice. I'm having trouble calling it to mind right now. It's been a while since I've heard it, so it'll be fun as I go through the edit to go like, oh damn it, that song, that's a great one.
It almost sounds like a weird cousin to the Immigrant Song. The riff is it's not the same, but you'll hear the connection when you hear it.
Yeah. All right. So my number 10, I wanted to pick something that was sort of, I wanted to have something on there to represent their bluesy side, because they actually did like a lot of covers of blues songs and things like that. This is not a cover, but this song is a 12-bar blues. And I was trying to think of like, what's something I could kick this off with that's like, it's one everybody knows. I was listening to it, I'm like, this song just rocks so hard, and it's so simple, and it's just what they are. And that is rock and roll. I thought I was tired of hearing the song, and then I was starting to put together this list, and I was like, I want this to be louder now. Maybe louder. Yes, louder is good. And like, it is just a very simple 12-bar blues. It's just, just drums banging away. Like it almost feels like, even though this is on Led Zeppelin 4, it almost feels like it should have been on 1. Like, it's just, this is as basic as what they do. So I thought it was a good place to start the list.
Yeah, rock and roll is a great one. And of course, I remember rock and roll just because, growing up listening to Led Zeppelin 4, and it's the track after Black Dog. And it has that feel where it almost kind of feels like it's a late 50s, early 60s song, but done Led Zeppelin style and kind of hard. Great track. Great track.
Yeah, I love that song too. It's certainly a classic. And the story behind it is that they were trying to record Four Sticks, which is on the second half of Led Zeppelin 4, and it's a lot of people thinking they thought it was the most difficult of the songs on that record just to play. And the story is that John Bonham got so frustrated playing it that he just tossed aside, and Four Sticks was literally 4 drumsticks as part of how he played it, and he just tossed 2 of them aside and just started bashing away on his drums, and just like the opening that you hear with that cymbal heavy beginning, and then Page came in with, as Doug says, it's just it's a classic sort of 12-bar blues riff, and and Plant's lyrics are almost ad-libbed right there, so it really had that live in the studio, here we go, let's just throw something down that's simple because Four Sticks is driving us crazy.
It almost feels a little like the same story for something like One After 909 for the Beatles. It's like, I don't know, let's just play a basic ass song and have some fun.
Yeah, and it's a very fun song.
All right, Kyle, you're number 9.
Okay, number 9. This is off of Led Zeppelin 3. It's my only song off of Led Zeppelin 3. In my opinion, it's not one of their better albums. It's a song called Tangerine.
Measuring the summer's day, I only find it slips away to gray. The hours they bring me pain. Tangerine, tangerine, living reflections from a dream. I was her love, she was my queen, and now 1,000 years between. Thinking how it used to be. Does she still remember times like?
So I chose Tangerine because of its melody. I mean, it's a ballad. You don't hear too many Zeppelin songs that are kind of ballady like this. And I just think that it's got a beautiful melody. It's got a great chorus. It's got that amazing harmony that happens in the chorus. Acoustic song, kind of mellow, right up my alley.
Yeah, I really like Tangerine as well, and I think that that song, in particular, really caught a lot of people's attention because it was so different from what they had done before, where all of a sudden it's sort of a mellower. Sort of a lyrical sound for Led Zeppelin. That song and the one that came after it, That's the Way, which, had both of them have some acoustic guitars on them, and they're just more stripped down and melodic. And especially coming off of the super heavy Led Zeppelin 2 and even the first half of Led Zeppelin 3, that was a big surprise, I think, and really made a mark. So yeah, great tune.
Yeah, this song was not on that 2-disc package of hits that I mostly knew them from growing up. And so it was one I discovered later, and I really liked it immediately because of that melodic nature. I liked its sort of weird psychedelic vibe that is, again, a little bit of outside of Led Zeppelin's normal comfort zone. It even has some like weird production stuff where like, it starts off these like playing the guitar, and then all of a sudden it's like, I don't know if they made a mistake or what that's supposed to be, but it kind of just stops all of a sudden and then like resumes. Mm-hmm. It feels like just them fucking around in the studio and they decided to keep it. But I kind of like that that's still there. It has a little more of that like exploration of like mindscapes stuff that they would sort of lean into as they went along in their career. So yeah, it's a great choice. It's on my honorable mentions. I really like this one.
I suppose say that Time of My Life, Green Day does the same thing, but I think they probably got that from Zeppelin.
There we go.
Yeah, there's a few what's that? You're Beautiful by James Blunt does the same thing Blunt, where it's like, he fucked up. I don't know. Leave it in the take. It's fine.
Yeah. There's...
yeah. All right, Dylan, you're number 9.
Mine's also from Led Zeppelin 3, and it is Friends.
Bright light, almost blinding. Black night, still there shining. I can't stop, keep on climbing. Looking for what I knew. Had a friend, she once told me, you got love, you ain't lonely. Now she's gonna let me only looking for what I knew.
I like Friends because it's a good demonstration of something that Jimmy Page brought to sort of harder rocking music, which was open tunings on the guitar, where he's retunes the guitar so that basically when you strum it, it's already sort of a consonant sounding chord. And that song is really definitely the sound of that open tuning. It's tuned to like maybe a C6 chord if anyone cares, but yeah, it just gives it a thicker, more resonant sound to it. I think there's some cool studio effects on top of it. Just that just it really builds and makes good use of the studio, and I think it was a cool change of pace for them. I know Kyle mentioned Zeppelin 3 is not one of his favorites, but I actually really like that album because they just decided that what they were doing on 1 and 2, that was cool, but they were going to really do something different. And I really felt that this album to them was almost like, I always put it in the category of Bob Dylan bringing it all back home, where that album sort of set up Highway 61. This album sort of sets up the more famous Led Zeppelin 4. But in both cases, it's like, this is the point where we're going to try something different. And yeah, it really comes through.
I can't say that I can picture the song. I know that I know the song because I know Led Zeppelin 3 well, but I can't imagine
second
it.
One.
It's the second.
Yeah, it's the
track.
second one, and it's it's got a it's got a cool open tuning riff that once you hear it, well, our podcast listeners will be hearing it as we spoke.
They will have heard it already. Yeah. And this is another one. Yeah, I don't know. I listened to 3 today, but I was just sort of, while I was working and doing other stuff, so I wasn't paying attention to.
It has a like
particular
sitar-y
one.
sound as well, but that's not the main thing.
It's a little bit.
Yahtzee.
Isn't it mid-tempo or slow? Right, if I remember the
One
second.
thing ever could do now, take it easy. Boom, 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 boom.
I got it. Yep, that's it.
All right. So my number 9. This is a nostalgia podcast, and I was trying to think, what are some nostalgic memories I have of Led Zeppelin? I like a specific memory. I don't have too many specific memories of Led Zeppelin, but this is one, in that there was a girl I liked in high school, and she was on the swim team, and I would make excuses to go hang out by the pool just to talk to her. And this song was on. Must have had some mixtape that somebody made. So this song was playing all the time, and I do like the song independently of this memory. But I was trying to think, at least I have some Led Zeppelin memory to go back to. But that song is Jamaica. It is the only reggae song they have, as far as I know. But it's kind of cool that they took this sort of leap into another genre to do something different. I realized reggae was kind of ascendant in the 70s, but in 73 that wasn't quite the case when this came out. This one is on Houses of the Holy, but it's weird. I think when you see it in print, obviously it is not spelled Jamaica or Jamaica. It is D''YER space MAKER. But it's just a cool vibe, and it just reminds me of good times and summer. So that is my number 9.
Yeah, it's a good track. I mean, it's the reggae feel. One of the more popular Zeppelin songs for sure. Thing about the song for me is the music is amazing, but I'm not overly impressed by the vocal work on it. A lot of OOs and stuff like that. I really do like the middle part to where it kind of gets a little dark and minor. I guess it would be like a bridge or a chorus or whatever you call it. Definitely a great Led Zeppelin song. Not in my top 10 or probably 20, but it's a good one. Solid.
Yeah,
I picked this more. Oh, go ahead, Dylan. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say this is in the category to me of their genre tributes, and there's a few of these. This was their reggae one. They have the Crunge, which is their funk song. They have the Full in the Rain, which is sort of their pseudo samba one. They have Hot Dog, which is a country one. So they they were interested in those little genre exercises, and I think this is the first of those. So yeah.
Yeah, there's a few of them, and I definitely picked this more for my personal just memory of it, more so than the musicianship. But I do like those I think it's a bridge in the middle of the song where all of a sudden like Jimmy Page's guitar gets a little more heavy into it. They sort of become Led Zeppelin again for a minute, and then it kind of bursts back out into major key for the verses. So yeah, there's still a lot of like clever Led Zeppelin stuff happening inside this reggae package. So
Yeah.
All right, Kyle, you're number 8.
My number 8, Dylan, you just mentioned this one, Fool in the Rain.
Oh, baby. Well, there's a light in your eye that keeps shining, like a star that can't wait for a night. I hate to think I've been blinded, baby. What can I see tonight? And the warmth of your smile starts burning, and the feel of your touch gives me fright. And I'm shaking so much with the earth. Why don't you show up and make it alright? Yeah, it's alright.
So later Led Zeppelin stuff, right? I think it's off of In Through the Outdoor. Not one of the greatest Led Zeppelin albums. You know, they were kind of not. Wasn't the best part of their career, and it's honestly not very much of a Jimmy Page song. It's a John Paul Jones kind of keyboardy song. I love the melody. I love the lyrics. I really love the feel for this song. Though I don't know too many songs out there can keep a whole riff. I mean, basically the riff goes through for the full like 5 or 6 minutes of the song, and I don't ever get bored. I think it's because the melody kind of changes, and what he does with the melody and the lyrics, it keeps sort of changing. But I think it's really just a feel thing for me with this song. I could just really feel it.
I mean, yeah, go ahead, Dylan. Sorry.
I was going to say, I think it's a great song. It kind of just repeats a lot, but it ends up really working. And as Kyle mentioned, I mean, it's really based around that John Paul Jones piano thing, and I think In Through the Outdoor was the big John Paul Jones album. In many cases, Jimmy Page was not around for a lot of it. I think his drug problems were really at their nadir at that point, and a lot of it was Jones and Plant doing their thing. And I think this is probably the best of the ones that that barely involve Page.
I mean, they're so good at riffs. They're really astonishingly good at it, more so than almost any other band I can think of. And you look at this one, and really you built your entire song around this just 7 notes, just ba-da-da-dum, ba-dum, bump. That's it, for over and over. And like you said, you don't, somehow he finds this like melody of just 7 notes that you don't get tired of it. Like they're able to ride that for the majority of the song. And then, as Dylan, you mentioned, it bursts open into this like samba party near the end of it that just somehow like, I always love when bands have the confidence to go like, I don't know, we don't have to just keep this pattern going all the way to the end. We can do something totally random and different in the middle of this. So yeah, no, great track. I love this one.
Yeah.
All right, Dylan, your number 8.
My number 8 is Achilles' Last Stand.
It was an April morning when they
first track on Presence. Presence is not their best album, in my opinion. It's definitely a step back from the masterpiece that is Physical Graffiti. However, Achilles' Last Stand is definitely an epic. It's either their longest or their second longest song, possibly Carouselambra from Into the Outdoors longer, but they're both over 10 minutes. I know that. And this song, to me, it just, it's sort of the heavy metal epic that would inspire a lot of things. I feel like, so much of Iron Maiden you can hear in this song. And I think that I just think that it's each instrument really plays an important role in the epic nature of this song, and so that's why I made my list.
Yeah, it's basically a prog rock song. This one, so much of like Yes to me sounds like this. These just kind of like noodling fast bass lines and stuff in it. There's just so much going on in this. And yeah, to sustain anything for 10 minutes, you're going to have to do stuff that's dynamic and change it up and move things around in there. But like it is one of those things where you can tell they're just in command. And it's just really cool to like those songs are the best. We're just like, oh, these guys have like confidence and a vision for this piece of music.
It's so long, right? It's so, and I think it's the lead. It's like you said, Dylan. It's a lead-off track. I appreciate this song not necessarily for the songwriting, but I appreciate the song for the musicianship, that these guys can hold it together and do what they're doing in those 10 minutes. To me, that's amazing. But I think from a songwriting standpoint, I'm more of like a songwriter guy. I can't help it. I like the early Beatles, Can't Buy Me Love. I just like good melodies and hooks. So from a musicianship standpoint, awesome. From a songwriting standpoint,
It's a big ask for any song to be 10 minutes, but you're right. It is one of those things where it's just like, you think about like jam bands and stuff too, that are just going to get up there and just like, they're just going to go for like 15 minutes of whatever. And like, this is not that. It's not unfocused, right? It is, this is a composition, and they're going to, display all of their various, everybody kind of gets to shine in this one. So it's cool. So my number 8 is a slow one, but I like some of their slow stuff when they kind of get a little more mystical. That one is Going to California.
Took my chances on a big jet plane. Never let them tell you that we're all the same. Oh, the sea was red and the sky was gray. I wondered how tomorrow could ever follow today. The mountains and the canyons started to tremble and shake. The children of the sun begin to wake. Watch out. It seems that the wrath of the gods got a punch on the nose and it started to flow. I think I might be sinking. Throw me a line if I reach it in time. I'll meet you up there and the path runs straight.
I kind of had this one in Tangerine. I was kind of like debating which one to pick, but I like the melody on this one just a little more. And this has this whole album, but like this is kind of right in the middle of their like, we're gonna merge rock and roll and like high fantasy stuff. Like, I don't think this one necessarily has like actual Lord of the Rings references in it, but it has this kind of like, I can picture like a bard playing this in a tavern, more so than like a big rock band. But it is beautiful. My cousin actually used it in her wedding. They had people walk into not the vocals were at, it was just like a instrumental version of it. But, yeah, this song just, it sets a mood that I really enjoy.
Yeah, it's a great track. It's definitely not one of my favorites. I would almost say that from a songwriting standpoint, I think it's actually one of their best songs, just because it's so kind of from the heart and kind of toned down acoustic and mellow. It's got that like dark minor-y kind of bridge that happens in there. But I really appreciate the song for just the lyrics and melody alone. And the instrumentation, I mean, this is off of Led Zeppelin 4, and I feel like it might be Misty Mountain Hop that comes before it. I might be wrong about that. But whatever comes before it is a little bit bigger of a track, and then you kind of tone it all the way down to Going to California. And you just came from Led Zeppelin, or from Stairway to Heaven, a few songs back. It took a lot of guts for them to do this sort of ballad-heavy, giant Stairway to Heaven, go to Misty Mountain Hop, and then bring it back home. I might not have the order right here, guys. So
No, that's the order, yeah.
Okay. And then they bring it right back down into Going to California, and it's right back mellow again. And I love it.
Yeah, this song to me always seems like their nod to hippie culture, which they weren't really a part of, but that they, the lyrics certainly reference it, and some of the music as well. It's that folky half of Zeppelin, although I really associate them with English folk, not with the American hippie folk scene. But I think it really encapsulates that period of time.
Kyle, your number 7.
Okay, number 7 song for me is Dancing Days.
Dancing days are here again. Summer evenings grow. I've got my flower, I've got my power. I've got a woman who knows. I said it's alright, it's alright. I guess it's all in my heart. You'll be my only, my one and only. Is that the way it should start? Crazy ways are evident in the way you wear your clothes.
Dancing Days, to me, I don't think it's one of the best Led Zeppelin songs. It's from even from just a songwriting perspective, it's there's nothing crazy going on there, but it really hits home with me. I think the reason I like it so much is because it's so straightforward. It's got that kind of fanfare title part that right, and then it goes into a verse, and it's back to the chorus, and it kind of goes back and forth. It's very standard, but I think it's just the way that he sings it and the way that the guitar work on that. The guitar that Page is doing during the verses, it does this thing to where it kind of sounds kind of grungy almost, and like this kind of distorted clean guitar. And then by the time the verses are going at the end of the song, I feel like it's playing it up like 3 octaves or something. I don't know what's going on back there, but it's just music to my ears. It's just so fun to listen to. So yeah, I had to go with Dancing Days.
I love that song. It's not on my list, but I really, really like it. And I love that guitar riff that Kyle mentions. It has the sharp 11 note in it, which is a cool note. And that song to me, I feel like over 50% of like what Stone Temple Pilots do is like, reminds me of just like being heavily influenced by that one Led Zeppelin song. Really, really evocative of what they would go on to do. And yeah, I love this song.
Well, I mean, and you mentioned Stone Temple Pilots. They covered this one.
Oh, did they?
And they did, which is where I first heard it.
Yeah.
Was hearing the Stone Temple Pilots one, and I was thinking, this is pretty good. And then somewhere along the way, I learned that it was originally a Led Zeppelin song. So I sought out this, and I was like, oh shit, this is really something. This is on my honorable mentions. It is really cool. It has this just neat minor key, just flavor that kind of runs through the whole song. And like, again, even though this is much more of like, a stable time signature, there's something kind of just almost threatening about that riff, even though it's supposed to be about dancing. Like there's always something a little bit scary about their music. So I love this one, Kyle. Great choice. All right. Dylan, you're number 7.
Yeah. My number 7 is The Rover.
I've been to London, 10 7 wonders. I know 2 trip is just too
second song on Physical Graffiti, and talk about a great riff. This is way up there for me among my favorite Led Zeppelin riffs, and I also like the chorus. The chorus has this sort of I don't know, eerie, foreboding quality to it, just what the chord progression specifically is, and the call and response between Page's guitar and Plant's vocal. It's interesting that in many bands, the vocal does the call and the instrument does the response, but in Led Zeppelin, it's often that Jimmy Page's guitar does the call and the vocal has to answer. And this band, to me, yeah, it always feels like first they take care of Jimmy Page and then they take care of the others. And this song is a very good example of it, but I really love the song.
I think this is another one of those where I'm trying to picture it. I can kind of picture the riff.
Same. I can't conjure this one in my head.
I wish we could pop
Well,
the
again,
song.
our listeners will hear it, but the riff is so great. Bow, bow, doo, bow, 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 bo, bo, doo, 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 down, doo, down, down, down. That's the riff. And yeah, anyway, when you hear it, it's heavy, it's catchy, it's great. Second song on Physical Graffiti.
Cool. Well, no, I'm glad you're picking this stuff, by the way, because, you know, if you are coming to this podcast and you're like, I don't know, I just want to hear all the big name songs, like, as you said, like, it is fun to visit this stuff that is not as well known, or not the top 10 hits. But for my number 7, I did go for a very well known song. And this is a huge hit of theirs. This is off of 2, and that is Whole Lotta Love. This song is, this is, classic kind of intense Led Zeppelin, just loud. But it has a lot of, again, like kind of stuff where they're fucking around with the time signature. They're speeding up, they're slowing down. You're getting like, just the drums. And then all of a sudden it's just the guitar. Some of the like riffs or the stuff in the middle of this, the guitar solos in the middle of this are crazy. And they really show off what Jimmy Page can do. And we haven't really talked very much about Robert Plant yet and his vocals. And like, I love a good, like, screechy rock vocal. Like I said, my other favorite band was The Who. So Roger Daltrey is kind of in the same mode. And no one's really done any vocals quite like this. I think probably Chris Cornell was probably the last person to do it and do it well. But like Robert Plant throughout this song is basically having sex with your ears. And yet, like, he can do that stuff. It should be funny and comical, but it kind of still comes across it like it works. And then he kicks back into like more like his traditional vocals. He can kind of, he like, when, as soon as that, like he gets through that kind of part of it, and then everything just kind of kicks back in again. He, like, his kind of presiding over this band is, it's really clear here. And like I get this song is really awesome. The other thing I will say about this song, if you haven't heard this, go out and go on YouTube and find Michael Winslow, who is the guy from Police Academy who does all the sound effects.
Spaceballs.
With his mouth. If you have not seen this, he was on some talk show and he did this song by himself, basically, with nothing but his mouth, imitating like all of the guitar stuff. Like it's wild. I'll put a clip of that in somewhere along the way in this thing, but like it's hard to believe a human being can do that with just their voice. Whole lot of love.
I'll be the Grinch. I do not like this song.
That's okay.
I think it is a caricature of a big dumb 70s rock song. And the critics hated Led Zeppelin. Now part of that was because their manager was a total ass, Peter Grant, and he would like beat up people at their shows, including some critics, and they had a bad reputation, and Bonham was a, out of control wild man, and let's just say Jimmy Page is a pretty gross person who fucked teenagers. So there's a lot to not like about them as people. But this song was also, I think, in my opinion, fairly pilloried with dumb lyrics like, I'm going to give you every inch of my love. That's like, I don't know if it was intended as a joke. When Spinal Tap does shit like that, they're doing it as a joke. I'm not sure that Led Zeppelin was trying to be funny. Now, it's funny, Robert Plant today is a very sophisticated guy. He has a great post-Zeppelin solo career and has put out some great records with really interesting people. But I think at the time he was a Opie caveman, just like his bandmates were. So I do not like this song, but I totally respect that I'm in the minority on that.
All right.
I'll take this. Basically, number 6 is next, and number 6 for me, good transition, is Whole Lotta Love. So I can kind of just continue the conversation going. So, Dylan, I agree with you for the first 30 years of my life. So, Whole Lotta Love was the song where, besides Stairway to Heaven, it was the song where, like, growing up in the 80s and 90s, and probably in the early 70s for just music fans, Whole Lotta Love was probably the song that was on the radio. Stairway to Heaven was probably eventually on the radio, I'm sure, after 1975 or 80 it was, but Whole Lotta Love came out, I think, in 1969, and that was the song. It was off their second album. There wasn't too many hits off the first album, even though the first album is great. But it was the song that I think broke them, and it was the song that was all over the radio, and I kind of got just sick of it, because anytime as a kid I would listen to like a greatest hits of the 60s with The Who and the Beatles and the Stones, there was always a whole lot of love. And I'm like, okay, like that's great, Whole Lotta Love, not amazing. And I kind of had that feeling, like I was just kind of not impressed. But it was really only recently, over the last probably 10 or 15 years, that I really started to appreciate it. And I do like give every inch of my love. And I think that's cool. I think it's sexual. I think it's very rock and roll. The things that I like most about this song, it's that hard groove, that you can just kind of like soak into that and feel that. And I like that. And when it breaks down in the middle, and I know it goes crazy for about a minute to where there's like weird kind of ambient sounds and moaning and weird stuff. But then when it breaks down and it goes bow, bow, and that guitar solo kicks in, oh my God, that guitar solo that Jimmy played, that's like the kind of guitar solo that makes me want to play guitar. And I already play guitar, but as a kid, it'd be the kind of one that I want to learn how to play a solo like that, because I just think it kicks ass. So, yeah, it's got to be fairly high on my list. Not my number one Zeppelin song, but I definitely love it.
All right. Dylan, your number 6.
Well, I'll actually use some similar praise that Kyle was just using, but for a very different song. My number 6 is Since I've Been Lovin' You.
Oh, my tears, it felt like rain. Don't you hear that? Don't you hear the moaning?
from Led Zeppelin 3. And for me, this is the reason it's on there is not necessarily because of the songwriting, because it is, I don't think it's it stands out the most as just a composition, but I think the performances on this are the best. I think it's both Robert Plant's and Jimmy Page's best performance, and John Paul Jones's organ playing on there is also way up there, but I think it is Plant's best vocal in Led Zeppelin. Unbelievable in my mind, and I think it's Jimmy Page's best guitar solo in Led Zeppelin. It's so emotionally cathartic and awesome. And so to me, just the for this just shows like them at their peak as performers, and that's why it was number one for me. I mean, not number one. I was on my list at number 6.
I think this song is probably the kind of song where I'd want to hear them play live, because it's kind of that slow bluesy kind of thing where you just like, you can hear each instrument. Like, there's the bass for JPJ, and then there's the drums and the guitar and the vocal. It's like they're separated and every instrument is doing its thing. Not one of my favorite songs, but I can appreciate this song. And if I can pick a song that I want to hear them live, this would probably be near the top.
Yeah.
This is a great pick. I love this one. It did not make my list, but it's an incredible song. And you're right. Like, it is both Page and Plant doing what they do best. Really just grinding away at this bluesy song. And I don't remember if this is one that is a cover or not of a pre-existing blues song, but
no, this is not one where they were cover, meaning they claimed it was theirs and they were forced later to admit it was someone else's. I think that this one, they certainly an homage to that old blues stuff, but I think this one was, they didn't have to share credit.
Yeah, that like kind of running through the whole thing, that is really cool. It is, an awesome choice. I love it.
Yeah.
So my number 6 could not be any different from Whole Lotta Love or Since I've Been Loving You. This is the most Ren fare they get, but I wanted to honor that part of their career. So my number 6 is from Led Zeppelin 4, The Battle of Evermore.
Oh well, the night is long, the beats of time pass slow. Tired eyes on the sunrise, waiting for the eastern glow. The pain of war cannot exceed the woe of aftermath. The drums will shake, the castle wall, the ring razor iron black. Ride on, raise your right on, shoot straight to them before. No comfort has the fire at night that lights the face so cold. Dance in the dark of night, sing till the morning and light. Red and gold to bring the balance back, bring it back.
I love this thing. It is so not Led Zeppelin and yet quintessentially them. There are so many like explicit Tolkien references that they make. In this song, of course, they talk about ring wraiths riding in black. In Misty Mountain Hop, of course, the name of the song is a reference to a Middle Earth location. There's the call out to Gollum in Ramble On. So they were huge fans of Lord of the Rings. And not only does it appear in this song, but I think their love of like high fantasy and mythology and stuff, like this becomes like a quintessential element of metal. And I think that like so much of like what I love about metal is the kind of like epic nature of, the clashing of gods, that kind of stuff. And that all starts here. I don't think there's any bands before them that did anything quite like this. And all of these bands that follow them are like, oh yeah, we have to do this. Like even if you pick up something, a more modern analog to them, like Mastodon, like you're going to hear it. So I really wanted to pick something that had this fantasy Tolkien-y stuff. And yeah, this one is it's still a very pretty song. Even though it's all like, I don't know if they play it on like dulcimers or what, but it is a very, this is a very Ren Fair song, but I dig it.
I think you named elements of it that I do like about it, which is like sort of that Ren Fair instrumentation and the sort of proudly dorky lyrics with the Tolkien references and just general all-purpose mythology. This is actually a track where Robert Plant's voice just gets on my nerves. It is just too high and too shrieky for me, and I can't take it really. So I think this would be one where the opposite of Since I've Been Loving You. I think the composition I admire more than the performance, and as much as I love his vocal on Since I've Been Loving You, I do not like his vocal on this. Not because it's not impressive. Most people cannot sing like that, particularly not most men, but I don't actually like it aesthetically. So
I like Battle of Evermore. I think it's a tough place on Led Zeppelin 4, right? I mean, you start off Black Dog, we already mentioned. Then you go into rock and roll, you're like, okay. And then you're like, oh my God, Battle of Evermore? Like, what is this? And then Stairway to Heaven? Like, by then, you already have the best album of all time by that point. I mean, all four of those songs are just so different. And the Battle of Evermore, the way that it breaks it down, I think they're mandolins. I think it's kind of mandolin-y. And it's got this kind of acoustic, not very heavy, good change of pace from your regular Whole Lotta Love kind of Led Zeppelin. So I really like it.
All right. Kyle, you're number 5.
Number 5, I haven't known the song for very long, to be honest. I think it's amazing. I think it's epic. I think it's kind of a ballad, and it's a song called 10 Years Gone off of Physical Graffiti.
As it was, then again it will be. Though the course may change sometimes, rivers always reach the sea. Blind skies of fortune, each have separate ways. On the wings of maybe, downy birds of prey. Kinda makes me feel sometimes getting hard to go. But as an eagle leaves the nest, got so far to go. Changes fill my time.
There's something about this song, and I don't know that I could put it into words, but so first off, the guitar work on it is just beautiful. It's not very standard. They're not standard chords. I feel like I can just listen to Jimmy Page play this. It almost doesn't even need the vocals and the drums and everything. It kind of feels like when it gets into the verses later on in the song, it kind of feels like a march. Yeah, I don't know if I can explain anymore just how much I appreciate it, but the parts are so different. The guitar work is so epic. The vocal parts are great. It's epic. It's long. It's everything I like about a rock song.
I think this is a great choice, and it is on my list, and it's even higher than this. So I will, mention it again when we get back to it. But I just say this is my favorite Led Zeppelin song in terms of guitar playing. I think it's the best guitar stuff, and there's a lot on there in the studio that I know they couldn't replicate live. But I think this actually shows what Jimmy Page did better than any of his other peers. And a lot of it is more the riffs, the acoustic stuff, the textures. That's what I think he does better than anyone from his era.
Yeah, I don't know this song super well, but again, yeah, the Jimmy Page's work on here is, he's so far and away. And people are like, who are the best guitarists of all time? And it's like, it's pointless to try and like stack him up against, I don't know, Jimi Hendrix or some of these other contemporaries. But like what he was able to accomplish, is so far and above what other musicians can aspire to. I remember, I don't know why they were talking to Alec Baldwin of all people about Led Zeppelin, but like the quote, I'll never forget the quote. He said, like, when we were kids and we were listening to this on the radio, we all said I would cut off my arm to be able to play a guitar like Jimmy Page. And it's funny because, of course, if you cut off your arm, you would not be able to play guitar at all, let alone like Jimmy Page. But but like that thought of like someone who is so, like, it's so rare that someone comes along that is this good at doing anything, any talent. But like this is one of those things where it's like Michael Jordan levels at basketball. Like his Jimmy Page's abilities just can't be like, you can't say enough good things about. You say what you want about him as a person, but like the man's hands can do impossible things on a guitar.
I take a more measured approach to praising him, to be honest with you. He has a reputation as being extremely sloppy. And I do think I wouldn't say he's a great technical player, like especially when you compare him to his fellow Yardbird Jeff Beck. As a pure technical player, Jeff Beck is way better than him. But I think that Jimmy Page did stuff, particularly in the studio with the layering and the riffs and whatever, where I don't think Jeff Beck or any Hendrix or anyone like that really approaches him. I think he's really a singular guitar talent, but I would put some limits on my praise for him, because I do think there's some things he does that the word is sloppy, in my opinion.
The thing about 10 Years Gone, like with the guitar work, it's like Led Zeppelin has the balls to basically put a whole run through of the whole verse instrumentally before they even get going with the vocals. Like Jimmy Page is basically like, okay, I'm going to go do a whole run through. It's going to take me like a minute or a minute and a half, but everyone else, you guys are just going to have to chill and hang, and we'll get to you eventually. And Zeppelin does it. Do you see any bands after 1995 even, or, even the 90s and on, that actually have the nuts to do something like that? It's just a testament to what they can
an
do.
even bigger example of that is The Song Remains the Same, the song itself. I mean, it's just guitar for like the first 2 minutes of the song before a single word is sung.
That's almost an instrumental, really. To me, that's just one of their masterpiece instrumentals.
Yeah. All right, Dylan, your number 5.
Yes, my number 5 is The Rain Song.
Oh, yeah.
It is the summer of my smile. Flee from me, keepers of the blue. Speak to me only with your eyes. It is to you I feel this tune. Ain't so hard to recognize, oh. These things are clear to all from time to time. Ooh.
So The Rain Song, speaking of other things where the instrumental is going to drive it, and it's about the textures, and it's about open tune guitars, and it's about what John Paul Jones is doing on that Mellotron. And this would be first time I think we've mentioned, John Paul Jones live was playing the bass, but he was also their keyboard player, and specifically used a Mellotron. If people listening don't know what a Mellotron is, it's an early form of a synthesizer, but it's not really a synthesizer. It's actually a sampler. Sampler meaning that it is playing a small recorded sample of an instrument. And a Mellotron has little tape loops in it that are activated by keys, so, they look like keys on a piano, like a keyboard. And it's a very unwieldy piece of equipment, and that's why they don't make them anymore. But all those string sounds and otherwise on Led Zeppelin records, they never had anyone come in and play anything like that. That was always John Paul Jones using this this cool instrument called a Mellotron, and this song is a great demonstration of this. It's a great demonstration of, again, Page's layered textured guitar playing, and Robert Plant finds a way to have some great vocal lines in there as well, and it's hard because they didn't give him a lot of space to do it, but there it is.
I absolutely love the Rain Song, Dylan. It's on my honorable mentions. There was a time in the last week where it was like number 10, number 9, and I kind of kicked it off. but it's another one of those things where it's really all instruments. Like 10 Years Gone is, I think, more of a guitar track. This is really just instrumental as far as everybody, really. I mean, especially like you said, all the synth keys, mellotron, whatever you're saying there. It's just so melodic, and the guitar work that Page is doing on top of all that stuff as the song progresses is great. And it's kind of a ballad. I don't know that I would call it a ballad, but it feels like it because of the slowness and instrumentation. Just such a good song.
It's one of those songs where they're really good at just setting a mood. They do that. They almost feel like they're about to cast a spell on you. They're just like, okay, here comes this like very slow opening, right? And it's kind of shimmery in the production in a way. Like it really brings you into this musical space that they're creating that is, again, a little different from their standard, like, hey, we're just going to hit you with something loud and hard. And yeah, it's a very cool, like, interesting sonic space to occupy. So great choice. And I think it actually kind of pairs interestingly with the one I picked for number 5. This one, actually, I just put on my list today. I had a different song in this slot, and then I remember this one. I was like, oh no, this has to take that slot. From Houses of the Holy, I've picked No Quarter.
Close the door, put out the light. No, they won't be home tonight. The snow falls hard, and don't you know? The winds of Thor are blowing cold. They're wearing steel that's bright and true. They carry together that must get through. Nature's a place where no one
It's dark, it's menacing, it's weird. The riff kind of reminds me on our Beatles podcast, we really praised She's So Heavy a lot, and I think there's kind of a similarity here to some of the like darker guitar that runs through this. But also this one, it is just kind of like weird and like, again, like unsettling in a way. So yeah, I dig this one a lot.
That's another John Paul Jones masterpiece. That is really him driving that, again, with his mellotron and those atmospherics and organ. And yeah, I love that song. There is a sinister element to it, especially at that point in their career. It was one of the longest songs they ever did. They would go on to do longer songs, but that was pushing it for them. And yeah, I love that one.
I can't get into this song. I don't know what it is, and I know that there's a lot of nostalgia around this song because you hear about it. No Quarter. I mean, it's famous, right? And I try to go back and I listen. I listened recently, and I don't know what it is, but I just can't get through it. So, I mean, it's cool to hear that it's really high up on your list, Doug. It makes me want to go back and hear it more. But as of this point in my life,
I'll just reveal the song I had in this slot before was Kashmir, but I bumped it for No Quarter because I think, both songs, again, kind of threatening minor key sounding stuff. Almost, again, Kashmir has its slightly more like Middle Eastern sort of Indian sound to it slightly. But Kashmir, I felt, was kind of long and repetitive. In a way, this is not. Like the dynamics, I think, in No Quarter are much more interesting. The way it kind of, again, like it drops out to almost nothing in the sound and then it gets real heavy. The distortion they use on Robert Plant's vocals for part of it. Like, I just think there's just a lot more going on in it. There's a lot more to chew on than with Kashmir, even though Kashmir is really cool and everyone loves it. So yeah, No Quarter, number 5. All right, Kyle, you're number 4.
Number 4 off of Led Zeppelin 2. Everyone knows it. Ramble On.
Mind's but got him at the evil wall. Crept up and slipped away with her, yeah. I ain't nothing I can do now. I guess I'll keep on rambling. I'm gonna see myself. I gotta find my baby. I'm gonna ramble on, sing my song, gonna work my way around the world, ramble on, yeah. Do my baby, ramble on, baby. Do. I can't stop this music anymore. Every time I think I got the power. I gotta keep searching for my baby, baby. I gotta keep searching for my baby.
I got a hard time leaving Ramble On off my list. I mean, this one's been a favorite of mine for years. I mean, the vocals are good. It's definitely kind of a crossover between a slow song and like an upbeat song, because it's kind of upbeat, but it's acoustic. And the bass, John Paul Jones' bass on this song, it's like, I wish I can come up with something that's that amazing. And it just rocks. I mean, it doesn't rock in the sense of the way that a song like, say, Heartbreaker off the same album rocks, because that's rock, heavy guitar. But this is like kind of a good acoustic feel rock song. I love it. I just love it. There's not many more reasons than I just love to listen to Ramble On.
I think it's a great song. It's not on my list, but I really respect it, and I love a lot of the instrumental passages to it, with the acoustic guitar and it's saying the bass licks on top of that, that lead up into those rockin' choruses. Great example of something that they do really well that really no one else was doing, mixing that sort of English folk with, heavier American-inspired blues rock.
Yeah, and this is, I believe, the first one in their career that literally has a Tolkien reference in it, so which is cool for me. But this one musically reminds me a lot of Good Times, Bad Times. It almost feels like a sequel to that song in terms of just just the chords, the production on it, the time signature, even like it feels sort of like, we can do this again, but kind of refine it. And I dig this one. It did not make my list, but I certainly can't argue with having it on there. It's a great song.
Yeah.
All right. That brings us to Dylan's number 4.
My number 4 is Trampled Underfoot. This song, what I like about this song is that by Zeppelin standards, it's pretty funky. It's got just, you could almost dance to it, which I don't think you can say about a lot of their music. But I love the interplay of the keyboard, sort of a clavinet sound and a it's like the closest they would come to sounding like Stevie Wonder in terms of what the drum beat is and that clav sound and the guitar. Again, another example where the vocal is kind of not the main instrument. The chorus is really an instrumental, and it's a very catchy instrumental, but the vocal is mostly just on the verse. And again, it's impressive that Robert Plant finds his way into creating these verse melodies when they don't give him a lot of space always, Page and Jones. But I love this song, and it's just got a groove to it. It's the closest that Led Zeppelin would ever come to sounding like Stevie Wonder.
You're absolutely right with that, of Robert Plant's vocals here being more like an instrument than they are vocals. It's just him being part of the soundscape that is this song. But yeah, it's really just that stomping nature of it. Like it is, just a simple, like just bump, bump, ba da 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 boom. And there's so much they're able to do with that, even within that kind of narrow bandwidth that the song occupies. Like this one's a real like grimy, almost sounding like it's just real, just down and dirty, kind of grungy sound. It's a great pick. I can't believe I left it off my list or my honorable mention somewhere. I'd forgotten about this one. It's an awesome song.
Yeah, and this is off of, I want to say it's either Physical Graffiti or Presence, right? It's one of those.
Physical Graffiti.
This song to me feels like the late 70s. Like you mentioned Stevie Wonder earlier, it definitely feels like, okay, now we're in the mid to late 70s. This is appropriate for that time. I think if I remember correctly, this might be the only actual single that they release off of this album. Because I think so. Which is odd to me because there's so many other great tracks, but this is definitely a little bit, it is kind of pop in a way. It's not the pop that you were used to, or even the Zeppelin pop, but it definitely kind of fits with the times in that part of the 70s.
Yeah, cool choice. I like I said, or you said, it is a funk song in a way. Like it has some of the hallmarks of a funk song, but you don't notice that when you first hear it. Like when you first hear it, you're like, oh, okay, this is just a 4/4 Led Zeppelin song. Like it's it still sounds like them, but yeah, once you listen to it a few more times, you're like, oh yeah, it's like, it reminds me of something like Golden Years a little bit by David Bowie. Like it's similar. It's kind of like, we're gonna drive a groove, and like for all of Led Zeppelin's kind of like hard rock stuff, they don't have much of a groove to them. That's not really their thing, but it's on Front Street in this song. So yeah, cool choice. All right, my number 4, this is one everyone knows and likes. I went with Immigrant Song from 3. This song to me, it's so overpowering. And again, like mythology stuff. We come from the land of the ice and snow, where the midnight sun and the hot springs blow. Hammer of the gods, like all this, like, mythological stuff. I don't even know what the fuck it means, but it just, like, they use this in Thor Ragnarok, and literally watching like Chris Hemsworth dressed as Thor, like about to destroy a giant lava demon with his mighty hammer as this song is thundering. It's like, yeah, put that on the side of a van. Like that is what this is. You have that driving riff through it. There's just, I don't know. This song is one of those things where it's just like, it is almost overwhelming. So yeah, that's why I picked it.
It's not one of my favorites, but I really love the lift. And then of course the like that's great. And the lyrics are great. I mean, it's a solid song. I think maybe it's overplayed. I don't know. I mean, it's not like, Stairway to Heaven's overplayed. I don't get sick of that, but it's solid. Maybe it's because it's off of Led Zeppelin 3. That's not one of my favorites. I don't know. It's a good track though.
I gained a lot of appreciation for this track when I heard a live version from an album. It's called just like Live at the BBC, and I recommend that very much. They play it faster. It's just the four of them with no overdubs or whatever. You actually hear how important John Paul Jones's bass is, particularly on the choruses. That to me, it really brought it up a whole other notch for me, and I love that recording of it. So I commend that to people to find that live version of it. It's really, really good.
Cool. All right, Kyle, your number 3.
So number 3 is another ballad. I can't help it. I like the slow songs. Off of Led Zeppelin 2, a song called Thank You.
still be loving you. When mountains crumble to the sea, there will still be you and me. Kind of woman, I give you my all. Kind of woman, nothing more. Little drops of rain, whisper of the pain, tears of love lost in the days gone by. My love is strong, here there is no wrong. Together we shall go until we die. My inspiration's what you are to me. Inspiration, look, see.
There's something about this song. It's probably one of those songs where I would say it's not one of their best. It might not even be in their top 10 of actual best songs. But I really like the melody. I really like that there's a chorus that goes one time, which is, who does a chorus one time? It makes me want to turn it on and listen to it again so I can get through the chorus. But the main reason is that I just really feel like Plant's vocals are just so sincere and so from the heart on this. It just hits home every time. I can't forget Thank You. I mean, it's such a good track.
That makes me re-recommend the Live at the BBC record, because the other song that really pops on that is Thank You. And I encourage you to listen to that version as well. But yeah, this might be my favorite song on Led Zeppelin too. Yeah, great pick.
Yeah, I was listening to when I bought, like, they had it on iTunes, so like the entire Led Zeppelin discography at some point, so I bought it, and they have it nicely in chron order, so you just start at one and work your way through. And this one came on, and I was just like, oh yes, yeah, this is I'm glad this is kind of in there to kind of break up 2 a little bit, because 2 is a pretty hard rocking album on the whole. They don't have too many of these slower songs on it, and so this one it's like a welcome reprieve in a way. But yeah, again, great musicianship on this one. I really dig this. All right, Dylan, you're number 3.
My number 3 is The Ocean. The last song on Houses of the Holy, which I think is maybe their most consistent album in my opinion. But The Ocean has a just epic guitar and drum riff that's so good. It's got a dropped 8th note in there. Black Dog adds an 8th note. This one drops an 8th note, so it goes from 4/4 to 7/8 and back. I love it. I think that, again, the riff is so dominant, but I do think that Plant creates a cool vocal, given what he had to work with. And I love the ending where they totally change the feel. And John Paul Jones starts doing a walking bass line, and it just kind of grooves along. And just a great song, great ending to what I think is their most consistent album.
It's such a consistent album. I'm actually looking at the track names right now. Dancing Days, The Rain Song, No Quarter. The song remains the same. We haven't talked about Over the Hills and Far Away, which who knows might be in someone's top. But it's really a great end to a great album. And a lot of times you expect, my mind goes to when the Levee breaks off of 4, how it really feels like a closer. This song to me doesn't really feel like a closer. It doesn't feel like the end of the album, but I still like it. I like the way that it kind of sums it up with a riffy rock song. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, this one's a well-regarded one of theirs for a reason. And it's again, I actually think it is a good closing song. I kind of like the way it brings the album to an end. There's just, it's one of those songs where you almost forget about it because it isn't one of their more high profile songs, but it is well known. It's kind of in that middle area of like, oh yeah, that song. But every time it comes back to me, I'm like, ah, yes, the ocean. Thank you. I'd forgotten about you, old friend. It's good to hear you one more time. So yeah, good choice. So my number 3, we'll go through quickly because it's already been talked about, is Black Dog. This is one of the, I think, most legendary riffs in all of classic rock. And again, it's just sort of, it is the confidence with which they sort of manipulate time in the song, like we already talked about. So no need to say too much more about it, but I mean, again, one of the biggest songs off of arguably their biggest album. So that's Black Dog. All right, Kyle, you're number 2.
Number 2, Kashmir. I had a really hard time leaving Kashmir off the list. I mean, it's one of the songs besides for Stairway that really got me into them. I mean, the lyrics are so deep. It has that Middle Eastern vibe. It's got the orchestration. Going back to the whole time signature thing, I think is one of the reasons why I really appreciate it as a musician, because you have sort of this, I guess it would be kind of a 3/4 lick going on with the music, but then the drums are in 4/4. So if you listen to it, the downbeat lands on the offbeat, but it circles back around every bar. And then after a whole 4-bar phrase of it, it comes right back to the boom. So that probably sounded like Chinese to a lot of people out there right now, and that's okay. But you can kind of tell. I mean, if you sing that da-na-na, da-na-na, I mean, you can count that da-na-na, da-na-na, that's 3. But the drums are going in 4. Boom, cha, boom, cha. And by the way, Simone Dufour, if you're out there right now, just a big shout out to you for playing the bass drum on this song in 1993 or 94 in Drumline in high school. And that might also be one of the reasons why I appreciate this song, is because I did play it in Drumline along with Battle of Evermore, actually. And it's epic. It's long. The lyrics are so deep. I'm a traveler of both time and space to be where I have been. I love it. I can't leave Kashmir. I know it's so generic of a choice, but it's got to be at the top of my list.
I mean, again, like I said, this was literally on my list until this afternoon. It is one of their all-time biggest. It was then ruined by Puff Daddy for that Godzilla movie, which you never heard that. It's pretty bad. But yeah, I do dig this song. Again, this is a vibe that they set. I had only taken it off my list because I thought it is a little bit homogenous in terms of the way it sounds all the way through. But there's so much going on here that the way that, like, they kind of have that repeating just da 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 da. It's almost like Jaws. You know, like this thing is just like coming for you from underneath, and then that descending line in, I guess, I don't know if that's a mellotron or what instrument they use for that, but that bump, 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 that just, as that kind of just crashes down every couple of bars or measures or whatever it is, it's so good.
Yeah, I think that this song is, I think Jimmy Page has said it's his favorite Led Zeppelin song. Yeah, and it has so many iconic performances on it, including that part that, Doug, as you said, it's like played with like a horn patch on a mellotron, although actually you can see when Page plays his guitar, he actually wrote those bits on the guitar. He uses a open tuning again on it, and you can see how he's doing it as well, along with the mellotron. And it's not one of my favorite Led Zeppelin songs, but I think a lot of people think of it as like quintessentially them, including their own members, and I think Page himself says it's his favorite.
Yeah. Great choice. All right. Dylan, your number 2.
Well, we'll go briefly on this because it is 10 Years Gone that was discussed. Again, this is not a hit by any means. It's sort of buried in Physical Graffiti, but to me, it's Jimmy Page's best guitar performance. Not his flashiest, but I think it's his best. And I really like, even though there's not a ton of lead vocals on it, when they come in, it's some great melodies, some great lyrics as well. And that's the deep cut hidden gem, I'd say, for people who mostly just know their hits. It's not on any greatest hits album. It's in the middle of Physical Graffiti. But listen to that whole record if you're curious, and you'll see why that one really stands out.
Cool. All right. My number 2 has not been said yet. This is from Physical Graffiti, and it is Houses of the Holy.
Let me take you to the movie. Can I take you to the show? Let me be yours ever truly. Can I make your garden grow? From the houses of the holy, we can watch the white doves go. From the door comes Satan's daughter, and it only goes to show, you
For some baffling reason, not on the album named Houses of the Holy. But this song just kicks like a mule. That just ba-da-da-da-da, bam, bam, and then it kicks off. There's something about that. Like, again, I'm kind of going mostly, especially at the top here, it's a lot of like, what are the best riffs? And this one for me it always hits so hard and so well. I never get tired of listening to this one. It just blows me away every time.
Yeah. House of the Holy, I mean, what can you say? It's a classic guitar riff. I mean, another great track off that album, off of Physical Graffiti, I must say, which is weird, right? It's like they wrote the song while they were doing House of the Holy. They decided to leave it off, and then it pops up on Physical Graffiti. Okay, but it's such a good song. How could you leave it off, guys? I think there's only 2 parts to the song. There's like the verse, and then like kind of the hook. But great song. Great.
Yeah, I love this song. I agonizingly did not have it on my list, but I'm really glad you did because it's way, way, way up there, and it's great for the reasons that you guys said.
All right. So those are our number 2s, which means before we get to number 1 and then talking about Stairway for a bit, let's hear some honorable mentions. Kyle?
Honorable mentions on my list: The Rain Song, which I already mentioned, Baby I'm Gonna Leave You, off the first album. I like Heartbreaker, and I think that's on there because I like it a lot lately. I don't think it's one of the best songs. And then When the Levee Breaks is just kicking with that groove.
My honorable mentions include Tangerine, which was discussed, Celebration Day, which is also on 3, one of the heavier songs on 3, Houses of the Holy, just talked about, Dancing Days was discussed, Song Remains the Same, again, mostly an instrumental, so good. The only thing I have from 1 was Your Time Is Gonna Come, which sounds like one of the more 60s of all of their stuff, but I put that on there. And then I put 3 more from Physical Graffiti, which would include Night Flight, In the Light, which opens the second half of it. It has a great opening the second half of that record. And then the last song, Sick Again, which is really a killer heavy song, but it is about craving sex with a teenager. So
Dylan
that shows there, and he almost, the phrase "sick again" almost suggests that they know that it's wrong.
Dylan, do you like physical graffiti? I was just wondering.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think I might. I mean, I heard it for the first time this morning. I was like, "This is pretty good." Yeah, it's weird. That album. I don't know. I just called "Houses of the Holy" the most consistent of theirs, but physical graffiti, it has the just by sheer volume, I guess, has the most great songs. Anyway, a lot of good songs in there.
All right, so my honorable mentions, ones that have already been talked about, are Kashmir, Dancing Days, and Tangerine. I've got also in there, Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, Dazed and Confused, In My Time of Dying, and What Is and What Should Never Be. All of those, I mean, but literally anything you guys said, basically, that was not on my list could be in my honorable mentions. I mean, these things are all so great. So with that, I'm curious to hear your guys' number ones. Kyle?
Yeah, number one. So, I mean, Stairway to Heaven is my favorite song, so let's just count that as 0 or -1. And I think you guys might be surprised by this choice because I don't think many people would choose this, and it's certainly not their best song at all, but it's their first song off their first album, and it's Good Times, Bad Times.
In the days of my youth, I was told what it means to be a man. Now I've reached that age, I've tried to do all those things the best I can. No matter how I try, I find my way to the same old jam. Good times, bad times, you know I had my share. When my woman left home for a brown-eyed man, but I still don't seem to care. 16, I fell in love with a girl.
I chose this song because it fucking rocks. It just gets me going. When I hear that gong gong, I just want to get up and start moving and jumping around. Like, I'm just ready. I really appreciate the song because the two verses that are in it are completely different. They're actually musically different verses. So you basically have a verse and then a chorus and then another verse that's totally different, and then you go back to a chorus, and then from there it's like guitar solo and chorus out. It's quick. It's very mid-60s. It's pop. It's got it. It definitely emphasizes all the instruments. I think that the drumming that Bonham does on it is solid. A lot of double bass stuff going on in there. I don't think it's the cleanest song, as you were saying earlier, Dylan, that Jimmy Page isn't necessarily the cleanest guitar player, and I definitely agree with that. But he can still rock it out, and I love his guitar work on here. And I love what John Paul Jones is doing during the verses. If you listen closely during the second verse, he's not playing what Page is playing at all. He's doing his whole different kind of boo 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 like kind of thing, which you really don't listen to unless you really pay attention to. And I can just feel this song, and I just want to rock to it every day. So there it is, my non-Stairway to Heaven #1 Led Zeppelin song.
Yeah, that song definitely does feel like it's connecting what the Zeppelin to come with the 60s that came before it. And yeah, that kicks off the whole record. And I think that record is also interesting because it continues a 60s tradition of like sort of front loading the album with the songs that they thought would be more popular. I do not think that Led Zeppelin 1 has a good flow at all. Sorry, hopefully the sound of my printer being annoying is not going to screw us over. But anyway, but yeah, it's so the flow of Led Zeppelin 1 is bizarre, but the yeah, kicking off with that song, you can't argue with that.
Yeah, you know what I love about this song is it feels like Led Zeppelin sort of sprang forth fully formed, because I feel like you could take this song and put it on any of the other albums and it would sound like it fits.
Yes.
Like, yeah, you know, like it is Led Zeppelin, like start to finish, like what they were when they started and all the way through their career. Like that song it's emblematic of the entire band. So yeah, great choice, Kyle. Dylan, you're #1.
My number one is When the Levee Breaks.
If it keeps on raining, levee's gonna break. If it keeps on raining, levee's going to break. When the levee breaks, have no place to stay. Mean old levee, taught me to weep and moan. Mean old levee, taught me to weep and moan. It's got what it takes to make a mountain man leave his home.
It's the last song on their most famous album, Led Zeppelin 4, and I think it's the best song on that album, even better than Stairway. And it's my favorite of this period. That's, it's John Bonham, probably his signature moment, unless you count Moby Dick that he wrote as basically a drum solo. But it is so heavy. I love that groove. Just love that guitar riff. Love what Robert Plant, one of his most memorable and singable vocal melodies, because again, he sometimes would have to play second fiddle to the guitar being the main melody. But to me, this song, just everything works together. It's not their loudest song, but it is so damn heavy. And to me, it is the ultimate Led Zeppelin song.
It's extremely heavy. That riff is, I mean, it sounds like you're being washed away by a flood in that song. Like it is very cool. I can't argue with that choice. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's an honorable mention for sure. And I mean, just the feel of it alone, just the boom, like just that slow kind of heavy, like you could just really, for some reason, listening to that or thinking about that makes me kind of want to moan. Like it has that feel, and great
good
track.
grindy organ too, from John Paul Jones.
Yeah. All right. So my number one, to me, sort of is them doing, other than Stairway, them kind of doing everything they do as a loud, hard rock band. And it shows off a lot, but it shows off in a way that is kind of so impressive that you can forgive what a show-off song it is. And that is from 2, Heartbreaker. This is one I have like vivid memories of being in my car and listening to over and over again, just slack jawed at like that guitar solo, just going like, holy shit. Like, cause I was used to hearing guitar solos here and there, but nothing quite of this, like staggering, one, the length of it, the how fast he's flying all over the frets as he does it. It's literally like the entire band steps back and goes like, okay, Jimmy, just do it, just do your thing. And it's incredible. Like that song to me, again, just, it trades off well too between, that and then, Robert Plant just soaring over that with the vocal parts. So yeah, I love Heartbreaker.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned it earlier. This song's got a great riff. The guitar solo in the middle, even though it's nothing like Van Halen, it somehow feels like an intro to what you're going to hear from Eruption out of Van Halen 1, which must be like 10 years later, 8 years later, or whatever it is. It's iconic, right? This song's an iconic riff. Everyone knows that now. Everyone knows that one, and I'm surprised we haven't heard it on any of our lists up to this point. Good choice, Doug.
To your point, Kyle, Eddie Van Halen does say it was a huge influence on him, that he listened to what Jimmy Page was doing, and that has an open string in it, and he said, well, his thing was, I can use my finger and move the nut of the guitar up and down, basically. So he took that and ran with it and created his signature sound. But yeah, I think Heartbreaker is an iconic Zeppelin song. Talk about heavy. That riff, just sets you in your place right there. So
Yeah.
classic.
All right, so as I said at the top, I would set aside a little time to talk about Stairway because it is their most legendary song, and it appears it's frequently at or near number one on lists of the greatest rock songs ever made. So it would be crazy for us to not talk about this monster of a song that is arguably the pinnacle of their career in a lot of ways. Even though I know, Dylan, you said there's songs you like better, it's hard to think of a song that's higher profile than this one is. I'll just sort of say my piece on this first. One, the fact that it starts so slow and ends so hard. The dynamics of that it starts off in this medieval Tolkien-esque space that they loved so much, and then by the end just builds and builds and builds until it reaches the kind of loud stuff we were just talking about from Heartbreaker. But it feels so cohesive as it's like a magic trick that they can put all of this stuff into one song. We've also talked about, even just the three of us, like talking about the Beatles, something like A Day in Life, where it has multiple parts to it, but none of those songs like have the crescendo the way this one does. There's a reason, like I remember walking around the quad at UCLA when I was in college, and they were selling all the posters you could put in your dorms, and so many people had that famous drawing of the person holding the lantern with the end, the final lyrics, as we wind on down the road, part of it. And like I almost bought it, but then everybody else bought it, so I thought, well, I can't have the same poster everyone else has. But like, this song just does so much, does it all so well, and is emblematic of who they are as a band. So yeah, Stairway is just a masterpiece.
I think it's a great tribute to early 1970s radio that it became such a hit. The song does not have a standard verse chorus verse form at all. It has long instrumental passages, and then I don't know how long it is. What is it? It's like
about 8 minutes.
Yeah, is it about 8 minutes long? Yeah. So it's amazing that was, at one point the most played song on FM radio, and just says what a time that was. And I agree, it's quite a composition. It's great. I think it's a great song. It's just, in terms of personal favorites or what I would put on, wouldn't even be near the top of like, just Dylan, put on a Led Zeppelin song. What do you want to hear? I wouldn't be there, but I totally respect it. I think it's great. And I think it's definitely one of Jimmy Page's best guitar solos, because it really, it does such a good job of connecting. It just has a great beginning, middle, and end to that guitar solo, and it connects the part of the song that it began with that final crescendo, that final coda of the whole song. So yeah, great song. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I couldn't say enough about Stairway to Heaven. I mean, I could probably go on for a really long time. I'll try to keep it a little shorter. So great song, one of the best written songs of all time. I think it's beautiful how it builds and builds and builds, and as it's building, the layers just keep adding. You have the very quiet in the beginning with just basically a guitar and some vocals, some other background stuff going on there.
Some Mellotron for sure at the beginning.
Some Mellotron. Yep. And then, you slowly get to the kind of the bridgey part, which are the parts in between each verse. And there's like at least 3 or 4 of those. It kind of keeps growing and growing. And then, of course, you got, to me, which is one of the best drum fills of all time, which is simply dat doom doom doom, which is just a 1 2 3 4 right into the if there's a bustle right from there.
If there's a bustle in your hedgerow, don't be alone there. It's just a sprinkling for the May Queen. Yes, there are 2 paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on. And it makes me wonder.
And then you're in, you're ready to go, and then it kind of has this fanfare-y, bridgey part, that da-na-na, da-na-na, where it's like, okay, something's coming. There's like all this suspense, you don't know what's coming, and then bang, one of the best guitar solos of all times comes right at you, and all of a sudden you're like in a whole new song. I mean, somehow 30 seconds before, it kind of felt like you were in this mid-tempo ballad, and now you're in a rock song, and you got Page wailing, and you got Bonham's drums just going nuts. You got John Paul Jones holding it down, and then here comes As We Wind Down the Road for just this great outro. I mean, really, I think so many bands have used this sort of style structure for their own songs. I can't really think of anything offhand except for maybe something like Civil War by Guns N' Roses. I don't know why that popped in my head. But just, the kind of song that builds and builds and builds to Bohemian Rhapsody, which is probably around the same time, maybe a few years later. But just an epic, great song. And like you said, Dylan, it's like, yeah, there's no chorus. There's no sing-alongable chorus. All the words change throughout the whole damn song. Just cheers, Led Zeppelin. You guys nailed it.
Yeah. I think that's a great place to start bringing this to a close. I do want to read some emails or listener feedback we got. First from Dave Jackson, a friend of ours, friend of the podcast. He wrote in, I didn't grow up in the 70s and my parents didn't listen to Led Zeppelin, but they were still an extremely formative band for my music taste. As a bass player, I looked up to John Paul Jones's playing, and I loved how creative their later albums got. I don't go back to their early albums very often anymore, but Led Zeppelin 4 onward are still in my rotation. Great points all. And I know Dave is a musician, so I can't imagine any musician alive has not been influenced by Led Zeppelin in some way. The other one is from, this is on the message board, so they just go by Thrack. But he wrote, or she, I'm not sure. Led Zeppelin, where to start? On one hand, one of the all-time classic rock bands whose legacy cannot be denied with so many great albums full of amazing songs. 10 Years Gone, No Quarter, Nobody's Fault But Mine, and Fool in the Rain. On the other, a band notorious for plagiarizing the blues greats and not even doing a good job of hiding or even acknowledging it, which has hurt their legitimacy in some people's eyes. Fair. Robert Plant is fine, I guess. Not a huge fan of his voice or mannerisms, but I like his solo output. Jimmy Page was ruined by heroin. John Paul Jones is one of the most underrated musicians of all time. His solo album Zuma is a fucking banger. And John Bonham is a legend among drummers. Overall, I do love them, and my Zepp hot take is In Through the Outdoor is their best album. My first full album my first full my first full album of theirs was Presence. I bought it at Walmart for $5, and hearing Achilles' Last Stand for the first time was mind-blowing in my perception of the band. So
that's like saying Beatles for Sale is my favorite Beatles album. Sorry, I love hearing all the words, but that part was just hard to digest. But that's okay. Everyone gets their own opinion.
It makes me. I forgot to put In the Evening is one of my honorable mentions. I love that song, but In Through the Outdoor is very inconsistent.
Yeah. I just want to thank everybody for writing in. If you do want to write in, you have thoughts about this, the links to all of our social portals are in the show notes, but we are on X, Threads, BlueSky, and Instagram, as well as TikTok. That's usually just me fucking around and doing impressions. So maybe I'll go and do here's the Muppets doing Led Zeppelin. I'll do that or something. Guys, I'll give you guys the last words here on Led Zeppelin here before we bring it to a close. Kyle?
Shout out, Doug. Thanks for putting this together. Everyone out there, you're listening to these podcasts. Doug's been doing a great job. If you have any other bands that you think are nostalgic that maybe we can do podcasts on, let us know. We've done a few of these so far, and they're a lot of fun. So I'd love to be more part of these if they're right up my rock and roll alley.
There you go. Dylan, last word. I'll give you the last word on Led Zeppelin.
I think Led Zeppelin, history has been kind to them. I think that the critics didn't like them at the time period because they didn't know what to make of them, and they didn't like their personalities, or specifically the personality of their manager, Peter Grant, who seemed like a total thug. But I think that these recordings are so strong that history has been kind to them, and I do think that it will continue to hold up because no one's ever really sounded like them since.
Yeah, for all the trying, it's truly often imitated, never duplicated. And they, as we've gone through it, we've said it a bunch of times, but they are legends, and I think their legend will endure because no one has been able to touch this. And I don't know if that's for lack of trying or lack of talent, or this is just one of those things where it was lightning in a bottle. But this is a very special band, and they don't make them like this anymore, and very rarely after. So thanks again, guys. And I think that'll do it for Led Zeppelin. So that is one more entry in the Nostalgium Arcana.
And she's buying a stairway to heaven.
Needless to say, the beast was stunned. A whip crack went his trumpet tail, and the beast was done. He asked us, "Be you angels?" And we said, "Nay, we are but men." Rock. This is not the greatest song in the world, no. This is just a tribute. Couldn't remember the greatest song in the world, no. This is a tribute, to the greatest song in the world. Alright, it was the greatest song in the world. Alright, it was the best motherfucking song, the greatest song in the world. Alright.
I'm not looking for glory or wealth. I'm just buying that Stairway to Heaven Jesus sang of.
That was Led Zeppelin.
Get back to your bong, hippie. I feel a powerful connection to the history of famous bass players. Like, what's his name from The Who? Or that guy from Led Zeppelin who wasn't Page, Plant, or Bonham? Those are the only two I know for sure.
What the? Ugh. Zeppelin rules.